We're joined this morning from Washington by ClearView Energy Partners Managing Director Kevin Book. Also with me, John Erlichman and Dominic Chu. And, Kevin, we were just talking with a trader there, the CME, who says, look, watch out for higher oil prices, and what's gone on in the Middle East, the death of Osama bin Laden, all of that introducing more uncertainty, does it not? And that's going to contribute to the volatility we'll continue to see in the oil markets.
Yeah, Betty, good morning. I think that actually the death of Osama bin Laden is one of the areas that could read either way. At one point, you have to look back at the rise in oil prices since 9/11 and say, clearly geopolitical risk is factored into concerns about the region that have been baked into the numbers for a long time. After all, it is a lot of what we're seeing now was foretold by changes in the Middle East that go all the way back to 9/11. But on the other hand, you do have this risk now that a counterattack could take the form of an attack on the Saudi processing facilities. That would be a serious disruption risk, something far greater than Libya. Right. And it's something that might well factor into traders' expectations going forward.
Kevin, Peter Cook just talked about the idea of drill, baby, drill, something that would have been dangerous to say at this time last year. What do the numbers tell you on those proposals for new drilling? Would it make a difference in the price of oil?
The near-term result is zero, but when oil prices, it prices at the margin. And it's not the question of whether or not we have enough reserves or whether or not we've actually added a significant number of barrels. It's whether non-OPEC supply grows, and the Gulf of Mexico was a big part of it. So an intellectual argument is, yeah, it would have made a huge difference. Practically at the pump, no way. And as far as the question about whether or not they're going to pass, I think it's pretty safe to say that the drill, baby, drill proposals are going to be killed in their cradle.
Hey, Kevin, one of the things that everybody looks at is how these major oil producers out there, in terms of companies, actually fare in this environment. When you talk about upstream versus downstream, that is to say exploration versus refining, people always say guys like Exxon, Royal Dutch Shell, the big guys, make more money when oil is at $125 or $150 a barrel. If that's the case, are those tax subsidies that we're talking about here even relevant for the hundreds of billions we're talking about in revenues here?
Well, like every energy policy, it comes out more to a question of what you want as a matter of national policy. They do make a lot of money. All the oily upstream names are going to do better, and the refiners will feel more pain. Independents who don't have the big pockets that have gone into these cheap wells that produce big won't throw off as many big numbers. But look at what you're talking about here. You're talking about effectively 5 companies that have been ring-fenced off in past policy decisions. Most recently, in 2006, the geological and geophysical amortization period was changed, just 5 companies. This is not only possible, even with Republicans in the House of Representatives. As we've seen comments from Tea Party leadership, it becomes increasingly likely as consumers become more fed up with high prices.
That leads me to sort of this larger question, Kevin, that I just want to end on. A more emboldened president, right? Someone who's clearly gotten more support now, or at least, a lot of congratulations for, killing Osama bin Laden. How is that going to affect policy? Because you've got a president who's a bit on stronger footing.
I bet it's a great question. There's 2 easy answers. The first is, if this is the thing that wins him a second term, then in the second term he won't have to treat oil companies or any other energy producer with kid gloves for re-election. And the second answer is, he did essentially continue unbroken a lot of the policies that the Bush administration had endorsed in pursuing Osama bin Laden. To show that he is now part of the left, or at least leftward leaning, he may look for an equal and opposite effect by exerting force on large multinationals, especially oil companies.
Kevin, thank you. Good to see you as always. Kevin Book of ClearView Energy Partners from D.C.